There we go. We are live. You guys are going to need to let me know on the audio how that's going. We were having problems last week with the that white noise. I think it was a problem with the microphone. I switched out the mics. That one didn't seem to be... I don't know. What's it sound like to you guys? I don't know if I need to turn it up, turn it down, like, because I don't normally use this one. Same type of mic, it just not set up the way the other one was. So, all good for you, Tara. Niley Bug says, sounds good so far. Okay, good. Oh, so yeah, I thought it would be a problem with the computer. I don't think it is this time. I think it's the mic itself, and it's the same type of mic, but I'm wondering, because this is kept like right next to my easel, when I airbrush all the time, when I'm spraying my texture fix-it up, I wonder if stuff's like making its way into the port or something. I don't know, not sure, but we are good. I did get your MeWe message, Sergi. Oh, what was it? I don't even remember now. What was that message about? Oh, yes, there. So actually, this is kind of interesting. Before we start, let's go ahead and bring this up. Sergi messaged me on MeWe, because, you know, if you want to get a hold of me, that's where you're going to do it. And he said something really interesting. I actually want to play with it and do a video, because it sounds kind of like a cool, weird thing. But he told me about colors. He says, because, you know, he knows how much I value Lightfast. He goes, I want to warn you about a color I've seen you purchase from Schminko, which is improperly labeled, which is Perusian blue. I'm probably saying that wrong, so go ahead and yell at me. Depending on the watercolor brand, Perusian, whatever blue, can easily fade in light, but regain its color if the painting is stored in a dark spot. What? It's magic paint! I'm entertained. This is not your usual light fast fading, but something to do with the way the pigment oxidizes in the light and recharges in the dark. If you want a good replacement, I suggest you try Delft Blue and Perline Green, both from Schminko. So I will definitely be ordering those to replace this. Oh, I'm testing this though. That sounds, I like, how fast does it fade? That's good to know though. I mean, I haven't done any paintings where I'm selling anything yet, so I'm not, you know, super worried about it right now, but good to know. So I will definitely be taking your advice and changing those colors out, but that's kind of magical. I don't know. I think it's neat. Have I tried Lyra Rembrandt Aquarelle watercolor pencils? I have not, because right now I already have the Derwent watercolor pencils. I've got the Caran d'Ache and the Faber-Castell, and I love them all. I'm like, do I really need more? So I have not tried those ones. I probably should, just so I can do a review, but I've not yet. Ali said, I got that one. Jack said, hello, I love these lives where we can talk about everything and anything. Yay! Prussian blue. Nick said, Prussian blue. I'm not remembering anything. I don't remember anything. So before we get started too far into this, just a reminder, these live streams, if you are looking for just your straight tutorials, not me rambling about my frogs, you'll hear them in the background, or see. I just misted the tank down. They're super happy. So if you're looking for just straight tutorials, that is what my Patreon is for as little as $4 a month. You get access to all of my longer tutorials. They are typically 1 to 2 hours long, is pretty average, although some lessons are so long we have to break it up into different pieces, because like the painting I'm working, you can kind of see it. I posted it over on MeWe. If you're following me there, you can see parts of it. And that's going to be a two-parter, because it's a big project. But you get over 300 instantly when you sign up. Seriously, $4 a month. I don't know if people realize how cheap that is. Like, if I didn't have a lot of people signed up, I couldn't offer it at that price. But because so many can get it, because it's so cheap, there's a fungus gnat landed on my nose, go away. Because it is so inexpensive, I'm able to offer it for really low. So, you know, the more that sign up, the more I can keep it at that price, because, you know, inflation and all that drama is causing issues. So if you are looking for just tutorials, that is what Patreon is for. These live streams, so you've been warned, no need to complain in the comments later on. It's never you guys who are here live. It's always somebody later on watches it and complains. That's not what these are. This is a chance where I get to hang out with you guys. We chat about whatever you guys want to chat about. No politics. That's pretty much our only rule. And have fun. And that is what these are. So again, straight art tutorials, Patreon. This is our Hangout. Hi from Israel. I can't read your name. I can't even begin to try to tell what your name is, but hello. Jack said, a random question, but as an artist, do you find you have to clean or adjust your glasses often? As I find myself having to do this a lot. Yes, Absolutely. Especially if I'm working in, well, I already, anyway, for my makeup, even when if I use a setting spray, I find my eyeshadow will leave powder, like dust on the inside of my glasses. It'll just kind of wear off during the day. And it's a fine dust, but it's noticeable. But if I'm working like this will leave a little bit of a powdery, it will. If I'm airbrushing, a little bit. So absolutely. Ali said, my favorite colors in watercolor are opera rose, bright rose, and somewhat bright violet. Not light fast though. Yeah, I know a lot of the good colors are not light fast. I know what you mean there. Hi, George. G Ben said, do you have any tutorials using gouache? I do not. Or is it possible to use other of your tutorials for that? Actually, so this is kind of the cool thing with my tutorials. They're more based on I talk about technique to an extent, but you can watch a lesson in colored pencil and see why it's looking realistic and apply that to acrylics. So you can really watch one lesson, see what colors I'm using and how I build that up can be applied to multiple mediums. So while yes, I'm talking about specific colored pencil techniques, you can still use, what is it that makes the artwork look more realistic? Your values. For the most part, an accurate drawing in your values, and you're seeing how I build that up in those lessons. So you can follow along with another medium, and I think that it can really help you. So in your case, you work in gouache. I would think that Inktense would be similar. Now, some differences, the gouache would lift where Inktense will not, so you will have to adjust your technique to an extent. And I've gotten to where more and more lately, I'm pointing out the difference. Like if I work in Inktense, letting those of you working in watercolor know, okay, for you guys, this is gonna be different. This is how I would approach this for you. So I do try to point that out, the difference, especially with those two, Inktense and watercolor. So you should be good for a lot of them. Let's see. Okay, and just as a reminder, make sure to do the @Lachri fine art if you have a question or a comment for me. If I'm not catching what you said or you feel like I'm ignoring you and you didn't do the @Lachri fine art, that highlights my name in orange, so I'm able to catch your comment easier. So if you're getting ignored, it's not on purpose, I'm just not seeing it. Michael said, just passing through, but Lisa, when do you ever rest? I'll take a nap after the live stream. You are always so busy. Oh yes, great to see you have the Band-Aid off your forehead. Yeah, that didn't last long. Let's see, Craig said, I'm a graphite portrait artist and I can't seem to get the black to stop the shine. So that's kind of a thing. So this I'm just gonna kind of doodle around with because we're just finishing this up today. That's kind of a thing with graphite. So especially the darker ones, some things you can do to avoid it. Some say they've had good luck using a matte finish to reduce the shine. I've had mixed results. It's never made it completely matte in my experience. I like using a matte finish just so it doesn't smudge as much, but I don't find it makes that big of a difference. If it's super shiny, it's going to be shiny. So the things that will cause graphite to have a shinier finish, some artists, like, I don't care that much about it. I'll try to avoid it to an extent, but if it happens, it happens. Some artists will toss the work and start over even though it's nearly finished if it had too much shine. So, everyone's going to approach that differently. I don't think it's a right or a wrong situation. It's your personal preference. It's art. They're both light fast. It's not an issue of art being archival. But some things you can do to reduce the graphite shine. Don't push hard. When you push hard with that pencil, you're burnishing it, you just guaranteed shine. So don't use a lot of pressure, but what we do to try to get the darks a lot of times is push hard. No, build in lighter layers. The other thing is the speed that you move that pencil. So like me, I work really fast with these colored pencils. My hands are moving fast as I do this. With graphite, if you move your hands too fast, even if you're using a light hand, graphite is a lubricant. You're polishing that. So you move your hand pretty fast, you're polishing the graphite to a shine, even if you're not adding a lot of pressure. So working a bit slower and the smaller circles and little ovals and such can help reduce that as well. Some brands seem to be a little bit shinier than others, but yeah, those are a couple of tips though. Working with a very, very light hand and working a bit more slowly. Don't push hard and it will get dark fast, but that could be an option for you. Another thing, I really like my brain just shut down. Gibson moved and I was like, whoa, that's rare. And my brain just like squirreled away. But anyway, the water soluble graphite. On areas you need really, really dark, you may want to put a base layer of that. When you use water-soluble graphite though, if you're not used to working with water-soluble media, use distilled water. Do not use your tap water to blend because the tap water has all kinds of crap in it that can yellow the paper over the years or cause different issues. Even though the rest of your supplies are light fast, who knows what they're putting in our water. So use distilled water when you blend out, like if I'm using watercolor or even watercolor pencils, water soluble graphite pencils, anything like that, you want to go with distilled water to get the best results. So you know, you're not worrying about what's in your tap water. But, and I don't follow that myself with acrylics. I've never had a problem with acrylics with that, but water media and on paper, or I mean water, like water soluble pencils and such, watercolor on paper, that's where I'm more concerned, just how the paper is going to handle that. So anyway, just a couple of tips for you there. But you could put the darkest darks in with your water soluble graphite, and then use, let's say you don't like water soluble graphite for the whole thing, go back to your regular graphite for the lighter areas. So those are some options. Oh, your name is Dorit. I'm not going to remember that. Cool name. I don't remember my own name. But yay, I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Nellie Bug said, Faber-Castell have just brought out matte graphite pencils. Bought a pack and I'm loving them so far. Now that's interesting. I'm definitely interested in. Pumpkin spice coffee. But it's Texas, so it's still hot, so iced coffee. Let's see. Jack said, here in the UK where I live, I can hear people already setting off fireworks. It's getting to the point where people just have them every day of the year. They look pretty though, I guess. Pretty, but so I don't like the idea of the average person. Like, I'm all for freedoms and being allowed to do things, but not starting your neighbor's house on fire. We get it here in the U.S. Ours is 4th of July and the New Year's, but 4th of July far worse. So New Year's, you'll get idiots who think that they'll just shoot their guns off in the air. Like, you don't know where that's landing. You don't just do that. That is not being responsible with that item. I don't want to get demonetized, so I can't really talk about that. But it's ridiculous. So, just the way people handle stuff. Where is a teal? I need something aqua teal. Ooh, maybe you. So anyway, 4th of July, we get both that and fireworks. And it's like weeks before. Normally here, we have it weeks after. But our 4th of July and I think it was the day before. So it was the 3rd and the 4th were the worst. And it had been bad leading up. We had right down the street, like I can see it from my house. Someone's house, it was a house that, was being built. They started a fire there. And everyone's going on, oh, we don't get fires here. We've had a lot of rain. It's Texas. It's always right. Like, we're seeing fires. You can't make that argument. Watching the people in our neighborhood groups who are just like, wow, you people are idiots. But anyway, they, on the actual 4th of July, it sounded like movies I've seen where bombs are going off constantly. That's what it was like here it was so insane. Like, I have never experienced ever. And I lived here, for the last 4th of July. It wasn't like this. Whatever, I don't know what people were doing, but it was bad. Where are my other sharpeners? Because that one is dull and breaking my pencils. Yeah, anyway, the noise was insane. Trying to keep my dogs, and my dogs aren't bad with them. They actually handle it semi-okay compared to how some people's dogs handle fireworks, but it was a bit of a nightmare, and there were multiple fires all around us. There was one in the neighborhood above me. There was another one. Where's the other one? Was it below me? They were setting houses on fire. So them going, oh, that's ridiculous. That doesn't happen. It happened multiple times. But the last night, on the 4th, it had gotten crazy. And what was annoying is they're not legal here. They're legal in you can go to a park. There were multiple parks that had actual events where the firefighters, can't talk, were there. And, you've got precautions taken. That was not the case. It was just people setting them off, not knowing what they're doing, and they're all drunk. So that's not a good combination. Yeah, it was so bad. But once they started setting fires, that's when the police finally were like, oh, we'll go ahead and enforce these laws. So I don't know why they weren't enforcing it before, but that's when they were like, okay, we have to put a stop to this. And then, weirdly enough, there were almost no fireworks after that. So normally after 4th of July, the next 2 weeks for us, you hear them going off. So it's 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. So you've got a full month of it. Not this time. I don't know if it's that the cops were actually cracking down because they were setting fires this time. But yeah, it was pretty It was crazy this year. It amazes me too how inconsiderate people are about it. Like, one guy wrote this long post, and the funny thing is, it's like, dude, I've seen your other posts. You are not a fan of freedom, but for this one thing, only this one thing, gotta have your freedom. It's my right to do this. It's my right to do that. But this is the same guy who posts political stuff all the time. He is not about people's freedoms. So it's like, wow, a little bit of a hypocrite there. You see some inconsistencies, but the guy's just a jerk. So anyway, see, this is why I think that people should be allowed to say what they want online. I want to know he's a jerk. So if I were ever in the neighborhood, I know to avoid him. That guy is crazy. But anyway, moving on. So he wrote this long post on how, like, he listed things out on why basically he doesn't care about his neighbors. Like, I don't care about your dogs being afraid of the fireworks. They're just dogs. That's how you piss off a whole lot of your neighbors. It was a list of why he thinks he has the right to be an inconsiderate jack. I won't finish that. I hate people. I need to move to an island somewhere. Let's see. Minal said, I'm starting a ceramics course on Monday, thinking of doing a dolphin mug. That's awesome. Please share. I want to see when you're done. Io said, we have fireworks going off a couple blocks away on Canada Day and New Year's. Oh, stupid fireworks. And I like them at like a park at a dedicated time. When the other thing that I like when it's like, let's say it's at a park, even if you live near the park, I get where that's annoying because I used to live in Grapevine. My apartments were right next to the lake where they set them off all the time. But I knew it was from this hour to this hour. I knew to prepare for it. So let's say you had a dog that had to be medicated to calm them down. I knew what days they would be going off and what hours and what times. So maybe I just needed to play loud music to calm the dogs down, or, whatever you need to do. Luckily at the time I had the Italian Greyhounds. They gave no cares about fireworks, so they were really easy. But let's say that was a concern. It was scheduled and it's something that you could kind of plan around versus random neighbors. So I have a street behind my house that at the time didn't have like homes or whatever, and people like in that field before those homes were built, they thought, dry field, this is the perfect spot to set off fireworks and start fires. Let's see. Tara said, I guess I'm super lucky. No fireworks near me at all, and rarely in the town around Halloween. Nice. We don't get them on Halloween. Ours are definitely 4th of July and then a little bit at New Year's. Jack said, also, the thing about fireworks is the next day I always see bits of wood or something that mist have dropped off the fireworks. I don't know if it's debris from the fireworks. So yeah, we get debris. And actually, we have a building that's like a part of the I guess, community, whatever building over here. And they were aiming at it. These kids were, like teenagers, were out there setting off fireworks all that night. And I'm having to watch because I'm like, you're going to start that on fire. They are hitting and bouncing off of that. And then the wood telephone poles, they're bouncing off that. I'm like, are they trying to blow up the breaker thing that's on that? Like, it looked like they were aiming at it. And I wish they would crack down on that stuff. Sergio said, I can finish that sentence for you in so many ways. Let's see. Hi, Artistic Flower. Joseph said, bringing back this old bit, am I the only one that sees the skull shape around the turtle's eyes, or I'm just too fixated on Halloween? You're fixated on Halloween. I don't even want to see it. Once you see stuff like that, you can't unsee it. Although there was one time I was airbrushing, and so I was doing it outside. I was doing a cloud scene for, it was actually another, it was same size, I think. No, maybe a little bit smaller. Maybe it was the same size. I don't know. Anyway, moral of the story. Another marine life painting like that years ago when I lived in California. I was outside on my porch painting that, and then my neighbor comes out and looks at it. She says, oh, cool, you're painting a pterodactyl. I'm sorry, what? And I backed away and looked at it. Sure enough, pterodactyl in that cloud. Like, it was so clear. I didn't see it, though, because it wasn't my intent. So sometimes it is helpful to have someone come and point out where you're just not seeing something like that. This is the stage where I go through and use my aqua, because you guys know me and my love of the aqua pencil, just kind of lining stuff, not because it's correct or there's anything like, there's no science involved in this. This is just me going, that looks cool, let's add that. Like the eye of the skull, and and his profile facing the camera left. I'm not seeing it. I don't know. I've actually got a window open. It's so nice out right now. I think it's, what is it out? Oh, it's 86. Okay, I guess it's getting a bit toasty, but I can actually hear the wind chimes. It's super windy out. The trees are finally getting big enough. So that's the one thing I didn't really, one of a couple of things I didn't like about moving into a new house a couple of years ago, or it was like, brand new. So you've got baby trees, baby everything. So like you didn't get to hear the wind blowing through the trees. And it seems like a weird thing until it's not there. Like where my apartments were, we had tons and tons and tons of really big trees around us. I was right up against like the Denton Creek, and then we had the lake there. So like super natural area right up against it. And the sound of the wind in the trees, I loved. We moved here and the trees are so small, you didn't hear anything. And I'm like, wow, I'm starting to hear wind for the first time in the trees out there. I'm loving this. Look at these little things you don't realize you're missing till they're gone. Clark Beinhardt says, as everyone stares and turns their head from side to side to see what Joseph is seeing. Wow, the dart frog's quieted down. Can you guys hear those wind chimes out there? They sound so pretty. Hi, Starving Artist Collective. So I was hoping to finish this marine painting. Tonight and tomorrow would be my last day's painting. It's not, I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'll need Sunday night too. So I think what's going to happen for the Patreon lesson, and it was going to have to be broken up into 2 parts anyway. I think I'm going to do the entire sky, background, trees, underwater, and whales are one lesson. And then the sea turtle, coral, and fish will be the second part. So I think that'll be broken up into 2 parts. Hi, hobby artist. So that is the plan, but I still want to get it done like as soon as possible. I want to get it done too because I'd like to have prints for Aquashella, although I'm torn on how much I want to bring with me to Aquashella because I typically spend far more having prints done than what I make, like by a lot. So there's that. I got my banner in. I ordered a 6-foot banner for behind my booth because I'm not going to bring a bunch of originals this time. No one buys them. It's like that. It's just that's so much work and it risks the paintings every time you move them from show to show to show. If no one's buying they prefer the prints, the cheaper stuff there, then I don't see any reason to bring them. But instead spend $50. It was on sale. Got a big Vistaprint banner, 6 foot by 4 foot. It actually printed pretty good considering I printed my sea turtles. The 2 turtles are the main thing. So 6 foot wide on a painting that's only, not that big. What is that, 24 inches wide or something like that? Maybe it's 30. I don't know. Not 6 feet. So usually when you blow something up, it looks like crap. But because it's a banner, crap is kind of okay. The one thing that got me, and I did this on my business cards too, although I think I can turn this and make it useful. So I did on my business cards, instead of putting my website, I don't know what was going on with me that day. I was writing out my email address, lisa@lachri.com. I never intended that. I intended lachri.com. I did the same thing on the banner. And now I realize, at first I thought I just forgot to put my website. No, I think my brain, for whatever reason that day, was just writing out like my full web email address instead of just the lachri.com because I did it on the banner too. Now the banner is no big deal. I am just going to take white paint and paint over because it's a white background over that. Sorry, my allergies are that's negative of having the window open. Allergies are worse than usual now. Itchy face. But I'm I can paint over the Lisa at part, so it just says lachri.com. That part's fine. The business cards, though, I can use this as an opportunity. One of the problems that you have when you're in a situation like this, or an art convention, or in this case, art and aquarium thing, is getting people to even stop and look at your booth. They just keep on walking. They'll kind of glance and they keep on going. And especially in my case, because my paintings tend to be dark, it's a dark setting, they don't stand out. Not in this type of setting. It's a very hard thing. Like if it was outdoors, it would be easier, like daylight. But you're in the dark. You're in like a club atmosphere. They can't see them. Even when I put lights on them, I just can't get them bright enough. So one of the things that I can do this time when people bring up the cards or ask for a card, anything to get a conversation going. So in this case, I'm going to have a pen and circle, like, here's my website. I'm dumb. I forgot to put, like, I put the wrong thing. Like, yeah, feel free to email me, but this is the actual website where the prints and everything are. So it's a bit of a conversation starter. So that's cool. Another thing I had an idea, and this may be those of you who do art shows, think of how you might be able to use this to your advantage. So in my case, I got a protein skimmer. It's this cheap Chinese knockoff, crappy, it's called the red starfish, I believe. I call it more negative things than that. But anyway, this protein skimmer, it'll work fine for about 4 days, and then the vibration of the pump seems to loosen up, and you have to pull it all apart, which is about a half-hour process. Pull it apart, put it back together, and then retighten the screws for the pump. And then in a few more days, same thing. You have to pull it out. You have to clean it all. It is the whole thing, just to mess with the pump, is about a half an hour. But that's not even counting cleaning it out enough to get it out of the tank. Like this is not okay. And it sucks because when it works very, very well. But it starts to sound like a tornado siren is going off. It's really bad. So anyway, I need a piece of paper to put under my hand here. I need to get a new one. And in my tank, a protein skimmer, I don't have a high bio load. Like there's not a ton of fish in there, and the coral that I do have tend to like dirtier water. So I'm actually okay without a protein skimmer. But I still will want to get one. Point is, it's not a rush. And the protein skimmers that I'm looking at run anywhere from $260 to $700. I'm not getting those. I'm looking at the $250 ones. But anyway, for like a bubble Magnus or whatever, for those of you who are reef keepers, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm looking at those. But I thought, what if instead of buying one now, it might be kind of cool. I'm going to get a dry erase board, so like a whiteboard, and I'm going to write on it like a question of the day thing, or I need your help. And I'm going to put this on an easel. Okay, let me back this thought process up. You want to consider who your target audience is. In this case, who's going to this show? People who keep fish. So the majority of the people, like I don't have a lot of freshwater things, so I don't need to appeal to them. I need to appeal to the saltwater community. Ask someone a question. Everyone wants to give you their opinion. So I'm going to do a whiteboard and help. Which protein skimmer do you think I should buy? And put like the specs of my tank. People should, in theory, we'll see how this goes, and I'll keep you guys updated once the show's on Halloween weekend. In theory, if I can get them to stop long enough to even start having a conversation, hopefully they'll stop and look at my art. Here's the other thing. I get one person to stand there and talk, more likely other people will come look at the booth. If no one's stopping, it's like a psychological thing. When no one stops at the booth, no one else stops at the booth either. But if they see people crowding around an area, and even if it's just because we're talking about protein skimmers, and that's going to be, tell me the pros and cons. What do you like about yours? Which one would you buy? What wouldn't you buy? I can put a few just real simple things on this whiteboard just to get that conversation started, because that's always the challenge when you do art shows, is getting people, why are they going to stop at your booth versus anyone else's? Because usually, there's a lot of great artists at these shows. Definitely at Aquashella, there are some amazing artists there. So I thought that might be a way to give me a little bit of a leg up. One idea I had, I bought those 50s dresses just so I'd look a little bit abnormal. They're still cute. I'd be comfortable in them, but I'd look abnormal. Then I'm like, crap. It's Halloween weekend. Everyone's going to be dressed up anyway, so I'm not going to look abnormal. I'm probably still going to wear them if I can fit in them after what I've eaten lately. But yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking. Like, how do you get the attention of that target audience? Because it's just, even at this show, I mean, it's other reef keepers, so there are people who should, in theory, like my work, but I can't get them to even stop because it's very hard to draw attention to your booth versus all the other colors, everything else going on. So now, luckily, I'm at a corner booth. I've really got a good location, so that's a big bonus there. But yeah, that's the plan. I'm looking forward to seeing if it works. It's a theory. I have not done art shows in a long, I did a couple with the Aquashella, so I definitely learned what didn't work, but we'll see. I'm seeing too, I think part of it is people have a limit on what they're willing to spend, and I'm bringing in Clays, which are very expensive to print. I can't sell them for cheap. So I mostly sell some postcards. I can make a bunch of money on postcards. So it's a little like trial and error to see what works in this sort of thing. And it's different too, because even when I used to do art shows, they were outdoors. You always had great lighting, and it's other art shows, so people were more likely to stop. Here, I noticed most people are stopping at the coral vendors, coral and fish, because that's what they're there for. So trying to no, come look at my marine art, come look over here. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Let's see. Oh, coffee. I had to laugh. I had the video that I put up yesterday where I'm following, I'm leaving in more like a little bit less heavy editing. So like when I fall over my words, I'm like, whatever, that can just stay in the video. Somebody told me if I would speak slower, I wouldn't fall all over my words. Yeah, when I try to speak slower, nothing comes out right. But it always makes it, I never understood the, why is it? Can you imagine going up to somebody and telling them, speak faster, you talk too slow, can we pick up the pace? But for some reason, people feel they can say that if somebody talks too fast. I get asking them to repeat it. Sorry, you talk fast. What was that? That I get. But telling them how basically you're wrong for talking fast, it drives me freaking crazy. Like it is the most, they're being rude, and I don't even think they realize they're being rude. Now I need to make Glitch, her head is not standing out quite enough. So what I'm going to do is take some of these darker colors, I think, right behind her, and that's going to push that forward some. So let's do a little shading there. I can just take some of the blues, and we'll darken parts of the jellyfish. Because even though the color is different, there's not enough variation in the values there. And this is the sort of thing that you really don't notice until everything comes together. Why I always go back at the end and make those adjustments when I do something surreal. You just tone that down. Like it's still there. It just doesn't need to be as light. And that brings her head forward a bit. Careful if you blow on your work not to spit on it. That's not archival. What I actually recommend, there's a really cool tool. Do I have it down here? It's like this rocket-shaped thing. Where is it? Maybe I can't find it. Ah, tripping over all my cords. Let me see. It used to be down here. I don't know where it is now. I really need to clean the studio, but it's this squeezy pump thing, and it will blow away your shavings and stuff without you spitting on your work. Weird, it should be right over here. Huh, I don't know where it is. One of these days I'll clean the studio. JPC13 said, I'm always curious about what your coffee choice is. I work at a cafe now and I'm obsessed with knowing people's coffee preference. This one is pumpkin spice. And it does have pumpkin spice creamer too, but not as much as I would like. I'm one of those people who would pour like half the thing of creamer in it, but then when I started counting calories, it was like, holy crap, that is kind of like when you add up how much coffee I was drinking a day. So now I make myself measure one little tablespoon, so it's 35 calories. That is my coffee. It's not as good as what it would be with more creamer, but it's still pretty good. It's definitely not cafe level coffee. It's Keurig coffee. So I still want it to look like the jellyfish's legs are going behind her. Just let's pull her forward. Now, another area is this is all blurred into one thing. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let's pull these darker areas and separate the head. The sea turtle is not standing out enough. Now, I don't want it to look like I just erased her, but oops, throwing stuff on the floor again. Have I tried pumpkin spice tea? No, I have not, but I'm interested in it now. That sounds interesting. Who makes it? I've tried there was a pumpkin spice Cheerios. Those were amazing, but as it turns out, Cheerios says that they're gluten-free. They're not. They're not totally gluten-free. So it wasn't enough that I was like sick, but it was enough. Like they're gluten-free for somebody who's like, oh, I'm just cutting down on gluten. But if you're like super sensitive, I started to, I had to eat a lot of it before it started to affect me. Like if I just had one bowl, it wasn't a big deal. But so it's a minor contamination, but there is definitely some cross-contamination in that item. So, because oats are a big one on cross-contamination when it comes to gluten. Yeah, it got me. So that was unfortunate, but it was really tasty when I was eating it before I realized that's what was making me sick again. Let's see. Theo said, you also have some tips on how to start interacting with people on social media. Asking questions is a big one. So when I used to post on Facebook, and I should probably start doing this more on MeWe too. And the reason that I stopped and got lazy is you don't need to on MeWe. Like you don't have to play the algorithm game on MeWe, but you still want to get a conversation going. And so one of the ways that you can interact better is asking a question. What's your favorite color of paint? What's your favorite brand of paint? What pencils do you like? Like ask people what people want to give you their opinion. I know I do all the time. You ask me a question, I'm like, let me tell you. Let's just sit down and have a conversation. So that'll be fun, definitely with Aquashella. But you can do that online too. Like, what's your favorite paper type? Simple questions that get people answering. Now, if you were on Facebook, that's a big deal because it plays into their algorithm. The more people who comment, the more people they'll show the content to. So that's a big deal there. MeWe, you don't have to play those games. You can just have a normal, natural conversation without trying to like weasel interaction out of people. I shouldn't say weasel, it's good to interact anyway. But yeah, just asking a basic question. So if you're an artist, obviously an art related question. What are your favorite subjects? What are your favorite animals? Like, what's the weirdest animal you ever owned is a fun question. I always love reading those. I should post one of those over on MeWe. Stuff like that. Let people get involved that way. But just by asking somebody else a question is a great way. Cat's Art Pig said, pumpkin spice chai tea by Twinnings is really good if you want to try it. Do you have to put sugar or anything in it to make it good, or are you just going straight tea? You've intrigued me now. Okay, we need to get some bright areas on the turtle's face here. Now I am burnishing at this point. We are definitely pushing hard, making that stand out. Again, this is not about being like correct lighting wise. It's about, I like how that looks. I'm taking some artistic liberties, that's for sure. EO said, Stash makes the pumpkin spice tea that you can only buy at Safeway and only in the fall. Huh. Can you get it? Stash is my favorite brand of tea. I wonder if Amazon has it. Let's see. Let us find out. Amazon, do you have Stash pumpkin spice? Pumpkin spice tea. Stash decaf pumpkin spice tea at that, which is better for me. Let's go ahead and heart that item. Black tea. Huh. I'm glad it's decaf black. I love, Stash makes a peach tea, and they don't have, maybe it's in decaf now. I don't know. It wasn't last I checked. I don't need to put sugar or anything. It's just their peach Stash black tea. It is so good, and dear God, do I get sick. Way too much caffeine for me. So yeah, that's Well, maybe because I want to drink it nonstop is why it's too much. It's not like, oh, I'm going to be happy with 1 cup. No, I want 10. So that's really good. Cat Pig said, I don't put any sugar in it at all, and it's delicious. Nice. Okay, I'm going to have to try some of these. Run my head into the camera. I'm excited about that. There's a product that I take that helps me to handle caffeine a bit better. The reason I don't handle caffeine well, I have a problem with my adrenaline. So people always go, you need to drink less coffee. I joke about coffee all the time. I drink 2 cups a day. Like, that's all I can have. If I have more than that, if I push it to 3, I might be okay, but I have to take my stuff. I need to take the stuff for the adrenaline and all the time anyway. But I don't actually drink that much caffeine. So yeah, I get excited when I find a decaf version of something. I've been to lessen the caffeine lately, but it's still really good and it does not need sugar. For iced tea, the Stash Blueberry and 1 bag of Stash Green Tea in like a big, huge cup. I've been doing that for like having an iced tea so it's like half because half of it is the herbal tea. But that's been really good. I tried it with their strawberry pomegranate. It's not as good. The blueberry is definitely the way to go there. Skylar said, can you find Black Forest tea on Stash? I'm not sure. What is it? Do I want to? I mean, I don't know what it is. Educate me on what Black Forest tea is. Let's find out. It came up in the search when I typed it. Stash tea, English breakfast black tea. Is that the same? Earl Grey black tea, so maybe not. Organic rainforest chai. Oh, itchy nose. I may have to actually close that window. I'm not seeing it. Unless one of those things is also that. Hi, Anns. Okay, what else do we need to do to this? Oh, you know what else? I want to add some stars. So make it really like kind of sparkly. I was thinking bubbles initially, but I think I'm going to go with just stars that kind of feel like bubbles. So let's throw some of those in there. I even pulled out my stencil. So just as a reminder, next week we are doing, next Friday I'll be critiquing your paintings and drawings. You'll be able to submit those over on MeWe. I'll open up submissions this week. So watch for that. You'll need to be a member in our art group. That's the only place I'll be taking the submissions. I'll make a post and then you'll just put it in the description. Now, if you're going to enter for that, and I say enter, it's not like a giveaway, but make sure you tell me what it needs to be a finished art piece, so no works in progress, and you need to tell me what your goals for that piece were, because sometimes somebody's goal was to have something be stylized, and it's like, well, I need to know that, so I'm not like, oh, you didn't draw it right, when that was the intent. So I need to know what your goals are. Or what challenges, like what didn't you like? That can be helpful too. Also, include your reference photo if possible, because that will, especially if you're working in realism, that's going to make a big difference. But those will open up. I'll make a post for it for you guys over on MeWe. And before anyone's like, I don't use MeWe, I only use Facebook. Well, hopefully that'll come to an end. But in the meantime, MeWe's free. It's fine. So you can join there for free with all the cool kids. Jag said, have you ever had an unexplainable experience or story? By the way, thank you for being a great company for me while I paint along with you. Oh, yeah, I mean, I've had a few. One of the weirdest, well, there was a house I lived in that had, like, if you're talking ghost story type things, we actually had a few things in this house. So it was an old house in Claremont, California. So it was probably, God, I'm trying to think, was it built in like the 30s or 40s, right around there, 20s maybe? I don't know. It was an older one. So Claremont's an older town. So they had this older house, and that back then those houses, and it's weird because you don't see houses like that often, like not in new houses. One bathroom, 3 bedrooms. My bedroom had 2 doors, one on either side. I don't know why it had whatever, it had 2 doors. The one that went into the hallway with the other bedrooms, and then one right next to the front door. And that one we had blocked with something so I could have just an extra wall. But anyway, it was the old hardwood floors. I think there was carpet on top of it, because I don't know why people started putting carpet and ruining hardwood floors by putting carpet over them. Maybe because they didn't want to maintain the hardwood floors, but whatever. So this house, my sister and I were home, and the windows, it was the one bathroom, and the windows were like I didn't even know this window could open. That's the weird thing. It was so heavy. And from the outside of the house, because the way it was raised up, you would have had to have a pretty good sized ladder to even reach this window. While the house was 1 story, just the way this window was, you couldn't open it easily. Nothing. We heard that. Me and my sister were in my bedroom and we heard that window slam closed. Oh my God, we freaked. There were other things, like I had this big, I still have it somewhere, this big brass dolphin. I've been into marine life for a while, but that was kind of like back when my love of marine life was really getting started. So like for holidays, my family members would get me anything dolphin or whale related. So that's what this was. It was about yay big, and it's that, well, you guys can't actually see, like maybe like that, like big brass dolphin. He stood on, I had like an armoire, whatever they're called, dresser thing. And this was stable. This was solid. That thing tried to kill me. It came flying at my head. Like I was close to it. It didn't fly across the room. I don't want to over exaggerate that, but it's like it shouldn't have fallen. It was stable. So that was weird. That one was really weird. We had my call. Now this one, someone could have just let him out because it was weird. I had someone had knocked on my bedroom window at like 4 a.m. And there's bushes in front of there, but the bushes weren't moved. Like I didn't hear the bushes. So it was weird. That one was weird. My collie like lost his crap. And my dad had called the police. The police are like, oh, your daughter, that I was probably being stalked because I walked home from school all the time. I'm like, I don't know on that one. Maybe someone let the collie while I was at school out of the backyard, went and opened the gate. Like that gate was always closed. It used to have like a lock latch thing. So that wasn't even a gate anyone in the house used. So somebody tried to set him free. So it could have been like, okay, maybe somebody was looking to break in and they're like, well, we'll let the dog that's the alarm system go. So that one maybe wasn't as weird. That could have just been nothing to do with the other things. But when all of these other things were happening within weeks of each other, we're like, okay, this is getting creepy. And you could say someone was trying to break in that window, but that bathroom window, no one could get through. It was too small. So even breaking in wouldn't have made sense either. But you would have had to have dragged a ladder because it's like the way that was creepy. So that house, we had a lot of weird things on that house. As far as like unexplained, but that was the only one. I mean, we lived in other places where you'd get that creepy feeling, but I haven't been anywhere that I felt that in years. Let's see. Artistic Lara said, I think your idea of drawing more stars is great. Yay, thank you, because that's what we're going to do. Hobby Artist said, how many days will we have to submit our work for the critique after you post your submission post? So here's the thing. When I post that, depending on how many people enter, I'm not going to finish them all in one day. So it may take a few weeks to get through them all. I will post it probably somewhere between Tuesday and Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. So the day before. It might be last minute because... And whoever is first, it goes in in order of who posts first. So if you were like, well, can I submit 4 days later? Yeah, but I'm probably not going to get to it because it depends on how many people submit. So it's kind of hard to say there. But I'm thinking I'll make the post somewhere between Tuesday and Thursday. We'll see when I remember to do it. But I mean, if we have that many submissions, we'll just do several weeks of critiques. That's okay with me if that's what you guys want to get through them all. Oh, my nose is running. I can't bring myself to close the window though, because I'm loving the atmosphere and the sound. So we're just going to deal with me sniffing my nose because I'm classy like that. Clarifier said, if next week is critique, will the one after that bring back the zombie snail? We'll be getting close to Halloween then. That's going to be my brain just shut down. That will be a Wednesday night. So yeah, that'll be different, but yeah, soon on that. So I don't know how much longer I have to finish the digital marine one. I have to look at the calendar. I'll have to let you know. I know it'll be a Wednesday night though. Nancy said, constant comment decaf tea by Bigelow, slight orange spice flavor, no sweetener needed. Hold on, let me write that one down. I'm definitely not remembering that. Urgh. Let's see. Constant comment, I've never heard. I type so much faster than I write. Okay. Let's see. Sarah said, on Cheerios, they have someone sift through them to remove all the barley, wheat, and rye. I don't know if that makes them safe for people that can't eat gluten. Apparently not. And I found this out. So one of you guys actually let me know that. And I was like, oh, that actually makes sense because I was getting sick. So yeah, you have to remove, there's a way to do gluten-free oats. Whatever Cheerios is doing is not the right way, at all. It's not safe for celiacs. Skylar said Black Forest tea is a caffeinated tea with cocoa shells, hibiscus, chocolate, vanilla, and cherry. Wow. That sounds amazing. There's what's it called? Actually, I need peach. There's in Grapevine, I don't know if it's still there after the zombie virus stuff, but it was a spice and tea place. And oh my God, their teas were amazing. I love that. We don't live down there, so I don't go there very often. I was like, I'm not sure if it's still there or not. I hope they're still in business. Man, that place was, there's everything there was good. But that sounds like something more that they would have there, these really unique, loved them. Jack said, I love talking about these creepy experiences, especially because it's spooky season. Leisha said, I've lived in 2 haunted homes, one when I was a child and an apartment in my 30s. Creepy is a good word to describe it. Yeah, that feeling you get where you're just like, no. That was, and it sounds ridiculous, I'm sure, but that was one of the reasons I wanted a new house and not an old one, because I've been in my friend Tara, here's another one scary story time. I will tell you about my friend Tara's. So her grandmother, there was this house, and it definitely was a creepy house, but they were in, I think she was Upland, California. She was either, I'm almost certain that one was Upland. It was right on the border of Claremont and Upland, and I don't remember which one she actually fell on. But anyway, so her grandmother lived in this house forever. Her and her mom, so her great grandmother had also lived in that house. Well, the sisters, so her grandmother and her grandmother's sister, I don't know what you would call that, they decided at one point they were going to screw with a Ouija board. Don't play with those. Do not open doors that don't need to be opened. And it's not a magical thing on, the game places don't make it. Yeah, that's not the point. You're welcoming things you don't want. Don't mess with those. So anyway, they decided, for whatever reason, and they're older ladies at the time, so it's kind of unusual. Usually you think of teenagers doing this stuff. So they started playing with it, and they were trying to contact their mother who had died. Now their mother, super Christian lady, never swore, never anything, super clean. And the thing it spelled out was F-U, but spelled wrong. It was F-U-K-X-U or something, I forget how it was spelled. But it was spelled incorrectly, and it freaked them out. And they're like, what? They started having weird things from that moment on. I think they did a few other things. I don't remember the rest of the story. I remember that part. Doors slamming, crazy stuff happening. They freaked out. They ran upstairs. They're like, oh my God, no more of that. We're done. Didn't matter. They opened a door and stuff. They started having, and I knew several people who have lived in this home with her. It was because she lived by herself, the grandmother. So Tara's brother, when he was a teenager, when he was college age, he went and lived with her for a while. Him and his girlfriend, who's now his wife. That's one of the cutest things. They were high school sweethearts, have been together forever, still married to this day, happy, it's awesome. But anyway, back then, it was Wes and Carmen. Now Wes would screw with me and Tara. So if it was stories from Wes, I'd be like, because he's 8 years older than us. So he would have just told stories to scare us. I would have dismissed that. Carmen was the one sticking up for us. Carmen did not mess with us. Carmen was like, you leave those girls alone. She's awesome. But where do I want these? I'm thinking here and maybe a couple down here. I should actually do the circle thing, right? So Carmen had experienced some stuff, and she's like, that's the last night I'm staying in that house. They had lived there for a bit, but hers was something was reaching from the bed. She could feel something under the bed pulling down on the blankets. Freaked her out. Wes had something similar. Their friend Brad lived there for a while. He had weird stuff, because all of them would move in you guys are ridiculous. It's fine. It's a good place to live. It's a nice neighborhood. Everything's fine. Calm down. They'd move in and start having weird stuff, and they were out quickly. Tara's dad lived there for a while. He had stories, but then what got weird is he had one story. So it was actually a room I lived in for a while at Tara's house, because I lived with them. Not the scary house, but Tara's actual house in Claremont. So she had or her dad was sleeping in her mom snored really, really bad. So it's kind of like me and my husband where we sleep in separate rooms. So her dad was sleeping in the room that I ended up staying in for 3 months. But when he slept in there, I don't remember if it was before or after I stayed there. I can't remember. But he said, I woke up one night and something was zooming around the ceiling like crazy and it was after he'd been at his mom's house, like weird stuff going there. So whatever it was, he's like, I think something followed me home. But he was not one to BS people and just to make up stories. So like where I'm like, Wes, okay, if I could see Wes just trying to scare his younger sister. Carmen, no. Tara's dad, no. So it was, there were so many stories like this of things that happened at Tara's grandmother's house. And then the one at her house, that was definitely on the weirder side. I did not like going to her grandmother's house, but I'd already heard the stories too. So to be fair, it could be that I was just like, I know what happened here. Let's leave. Let's see. Sarah said, what do you normally eat for breakfast since you typically avoid starch? Actually, I don't avoid starch. I eat a lot of rice. So normally for me, it's a rice bowl. They have what is it? John Scott or Scott John, something like that. They're like shrimp and rice bowls. So he has a jambalaya one, or they have a jambalaya one and a shrimp risotto one, however you say it. Those are what I normally eat. And then it's a little veggie muffin thing. Like little chocolate muffin that's like 120 calories. So that's my normal breakfast and lunch and dinner. Although my husband's schedule just changed and he gets off before Chipotle closes and he keeps going and getting us Chipotle rice bowls for dinner. So, well, rice bowl for me. So, yeah. But those rice bowls are my normal. Sometimes I'll have lunch meat, but that's normally what I eat. That's not going to work. Okay. I need to get more pink colors in here. Hobby Artist said, I've got a piece that I should be able to finish this weekend if I can get myself up early enough. Thank you. Oh yeah, you'll be fine. As long as you finish this weekend, you're definitely fine. George Pencil Art said, I drink Constant Comment decaf tea a lot. The Bigelow chai tea is also very good. Chai tea I only really liked when I had milk in it. So, but then that's extra calories. So I don't know if I would really like normal chai tea. Leisha said, yikes, Ouija boards are like standing on a shady street corner at 3 a.m. saying, hi, I'm a tourist and I'm lost, right? That is the best way to describe that. I love it. My sister's friends. So my sister is friends with Jessica Alba, the actress, whatever. They were like 12 years old at the time when they were friends. I don't think they still are. But her and her cousin, I cannot remember her cousin's name. So anyway, there was 3 of them at one of their houses and they were screwing around with the Ouija board and they started having some crazy, they had some really scary stuff. They're like, never again, never will touch that again. They really freaked themselves out with that one. So yeah, I don't know of many people that have good stories about those things. I don't even like scary movies though. Like I used to see stuff. So I guess here's scary stuff. When I was probably around 4 or 5 is when it started. I started seeing stuff and my parents dismissed it as hallucinations because I was sick a lot. So I ran a fever a lot. So a lot of the times like that, definitely the hallucinations could be from that, but they weren't always. So I would see stuff in my room, like crazy stuff climbing up the walls, stuff that was not there. And I, to this day, remember it. So it wasn't like, oh, that's just a kid trying to get out of going to bed. Like I remember what I saw. Like it was very, very vivid. One of them was this regular, a mannequin. I had a bunk bed. It was on the top. I was at a waterbed, so it was on both really. But because this was an ongoing one. And I was awake. I'm sitting up awake, would get up and walk into my parents' room, but I'm trying to get past the mannequin because I was so afraid she was going to jump out at me. But it was this woman just standing there staring at me, like not moving. That freaked me out. There were things on the wall. There were things moving. There was one time where I had this lamp. It was this cute ceramic, like back then. So this would have been early 80s, like 81, right around there. I had this lamp. It was a turtle ceramic lamp that my mom had painted, and then it had like the lampshade on it. This sort of thing was pretty common back then. But anyway, that was my nightlight. I made her leave it on all the time because I was afraid of the dark because I kept seeing stuff, obviously. Anyone would be afraid of the dark there. But I remember seeing like all these toys and like a tricycle I wanted and all these stuffed animals and things I really wanted, but I knew, don't go over there. Like, this is scary. This is bad. Do not go touch that stuff. So like stuff like that, there was some weird, and like as an adult, part of me wants to dismiss it. I was probably dreaming. It was so, no, like that was, I saw some stuff. So I've always, since I was a kid, have been terrified of seeing things. You can call it a hallucination or not. I don't want to see it. Whatever you want to call it, I do not want to see it. Like, I've been so afraid of that. So I'll watch scary movies and then freak myself out. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Because now I'm sitting there. I used to sleep with my head under the covers because I was so afraid of seeing things. I did that until I was an adult. Pretty much until I got married and my husband started hotboxing. Was it hotboxing? Is that what it's called? Me out of, yeah, you learn quick not to put your head under the covers when you get married. So that broke that habit. But my whole, like, up until then, I slept with my head under the covers too. I was so terrified of seeing things. And I didn't see things, not totally true. I didn't see things as an adult. I do have sleep paralysis. So, which is freaking terrifying, by the way. And I haven't had it happen in a long time. I did find out that is worse when you, if it's hot in the room you're in when you're sleeping, it's more likely to happen. And so that I keep the air conditioner down a lot lower when I sleep. And that seems to have pretty much stopped that. But I could see, like, I knew I was sleeping, except I sleep with my eyes open because I'm a freak. Not on purpose, but I could see like my hand next to my head in the room around it, but I couldn't move. And then somebody walks by, I see a man's legs in the room with me, like I couldn't look up or see him, but you panic, you can't move, you're freaking out. That sort of thing I have experienced a lot, but I haven't had it in years since I started dropping the temperature when I sleep. Do not let yourself get too hot when you sleep. Nightmares are more common when you get hot too, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why. Jack said, also a really morbid, weird question. Have you heard of the Yellowstone volcano and would it damage your state if it erupted? It always scared me to think of such an event. I think it would damage our whole country from what I understand. Like, that's a pretty major. I'm in Texas, so I'm not that close. Close enough. Like, I think that's a pretty major event. If that happens, I don't think any of us are going to worry about anything anymore. Let's see. Whoops, that just jumped too far. Starving Artists Collective said, watching Keanu Reeves in a movie Constantine last night. Exorcism theme. What is your favorite Keanu Reeves movie? Favorite scary movie? Keanu Reeves, definitely, oh God, the one with the dog. Why can't I think of the name right now? John Wick. Love, that's my favorite, by far. So cool. The training that they did, the Belgian Malinois, I love them. That breed, that's the dogs that are used in that. And the things those dogs can do is just, I love those parts. I just loved them. Love that movie. Favorite scary movie. I don't really like scary movies, so I really can't say there. Because then I go to bed. This is my normal thing. Watch a scary movie. I enjoy it at the time. I go to bed. I lay there and pray to God, swearing to him, I will never watch another scary movie again. Please take my fear away. I'm freaking out right now. Like, that is my normal crazy girl thing of, I don't like scary movies. My husband does. He'll watch them and then he'll freak himself out, which is funny, but... Anne said, have you used the Createx airbrush colors? Are they any good? So the thing with the Createx airbrush colors, they work better on a 0.5 needle or larger. Most of the time when I'm airbrushing, I'm using a 3 or a 2. So they clog the airbrush really bad. I have to thin them down with water, and even then they'll end up clogging the airbrush. So they're good paints. I used them for years. They're good, but you do have to thin them down, and I deal with them, the clogging in the airbrush. So now Golden's, these are actually the Golden's airbrush paint are my go-to airbrush paint now. Absolutely my favorite. I was using Holbeins and the paint is good, but there's some question, like after dealing with them with the Holbein colored pencils, I don't trust the company's claims on light fast on anything anymore. I'm so unimpressed with how they treated me in ignoring me when I question, like, can I get more information? And then my favorite part is people going, oh, well, they answered this person. Yeah, well, they didn't answer me. So I don't have firsthand knowledge then. I'm not going to trust them. So anyway, I won't buy any of their products anymore. I also don't like the lids on theirs. I really like the lids on the Goldens. So Golden's is my preference. But yeah, the size needle you're using is going to make a difference on that. If you're using a 0.5 or a 0.7, like you're doing a big wall mural, you're probably going to love the Createx. But otherwise, if you're using a smaller needle, which is what most of us, the 0.3 is probably the most common, the Golden's is what I would recommend. EO said, is it true that you can set a Ouija board on fire and it won't burn? I doubt that. I mean, I've tried burning magazines. So when I was a teenager, my bio dad, I found some inappropriate magazines and I was mad. And I'm like, because he was always preaching about all the things that he was such a good man. And so I was not expecting to see that. So as a teenage girl, my solution was I'm taking these magazines out in the backyard and burning them. You know what doesn't burn? Adult magazines. Not well. So that was fun. Saw things you can't unsee there. Let's see. I'm such a prude. I've apparently always been. I was mad that he was such a hypocrite. I mean, he wasn't a good man, so there's that. But knowing what a hypocrite he was and what he presented to the world, but who he really was, yeah, I had issues with that. Cat's Art Pig said, I've seen some pretty creepy stuff too. I saw an all black angel with big wings at the foot of my bed just standing there looking at me. That's creepy. Nope. Joseph says, John Wick 5, The Matrix Resurrections. Skylar said, there's a volcano in the U.S. Yeah, it's Yellowstone Park there's some people have brought up, like, what if that gets, there have been some questions on that one. Jack said, but yes, there is. Jack said, I sometimes get sleep paralysis, but for me it's when my eyes are closed and I can't get them open, or I'll be in a dream and aware I'm dreaming and I can't get out of it. And that I've had happen too. Gibson's panting. Are you hot too? Hold on, I can actually, let me turn the air down. Matt will be happy about that. I would use the Amazon device, but I don't want to set any of your guys' off. So look how considerate I am. I'm just going to use the app. That's a more appropriate temperature. Just drop that by a couple degrees. Yeah, Joseph said we have, for the volcanoes, Mount Rainier, Washington, Mount Shasta, California, Mount Hood, Oregon, Three Sisters, Oregon. Yeah, there's quite a few. The Yellowstone's the main one I've heard. We have the geyser there too, but I think, people have like questioned if enemies came and bombed that. What, I don't know. I don't even know. Okay, back to drawing stars. Let's get some little ones in here. Probably should just do the pink first. So normally when I do stars, I kind of move them up this way, not a bunch of horizontal ones. You get a nicer flow that way. I'm gonna have I don't know if I want to put one in front of the turtle. That's a loud frog. It's so great. They're the tiniest frogs. Like, they are my thumbnail size. This is how big the whole frog is. And that much noise from those little, I love them. You know what else I'm super enjoying right now? I have, can you see it? This circle, that is a BioOrb, which I don't necessarily recommend. I think that they are way too expensive for the quality. There are way too many issues with that. Like, if the lights go out, you can't replace them. The fan doesn't work. The misting system, like a lot of that does not work on mine anymore. Now, they do have a 3-year warranty, so I should probably turn that in. But anyway, point is, and they scratch like crazy. So I wouldn't recommend that for a vivarium. I think there are better options that are higher quality, less expensive. You can change the parts on it. Like, I actually like the one that these guys over here, and that's the dart frogs. Much easier to do maintenance on, like all around. But anyway, I mean, the BioOrb looks cool. It is a very pretty thing. But anyway, it's plastic and it jacked. How many times can I say but anyway? More, I'm sure. I put isopods in there. So when I moved, Cletus was in that tank, which was not practical. So he got moved into this one once these guys were big enough. He's actually like the little runt now, but he got moved into that one. And so I put more just isopods in there. If you look up, is it a koi isopod? Hold on, is that going to show you the right picture? Because it's a common name, so you never know if it's right. Koi isopod. They're basically roly-polies that are orange and white blotchy. Yeah, look up koi isopod. Mine are more orange, like orange. They're the cutest little guys. They like zooming around, walking around the branches, and their little antennas going. They're so freaking cute. And I keep feeding them green beans, which is apparently their favorite food in the world, and they are breeding like crazy. So I have a whole bunch of these cute little isopods. They're really like a cleanup crew for the tank. They're so freaking cute. So I'm starting to really like, as much as I've commented the BioHerb, I don't recommend. Again, way overpriced for the quality of that build. But I am enjoying it, I do have to say, especially with those little bugs. Said, I watched Basic Instinct when I was young, and it freaked me out so much I smashed the VHS with a hammer. I think you had emotional disturbances as a child. It's not a normal reaction. Oh, unless it was just the tape and not the player. I don't know. George Pencil Art said, I borrowed John Wick 2 recently, had to turn it off after an hour. Lately, movies bother me where the main thing is people shooting other people or beating each other to a pulp. I'm apparently more violent than you. I'm a prude, but I like violence. Weird. Wait, we'll blame my upbringing with... That gets dark. We'll move that on. Yeah. Don't watch Venom then, which is an amazing movie. I liked that movie. That was fun. The new one that just came out. One of the things that I'm loving is that most of the movie theaters have like a restaurant and drinks. So like I can get wine, and I ate a pack of M&Ms. I'm like, chocolate and red wine. This will be fun at the movies. We don't go often, so I'm going to splurge on 5 servings in that bag, and I ate it like it was nothing. Like, oh my God, I have no self-control. And I didn't share. Me and my husband had our own 5 serving each bag. I don't know why my pants don't fit. So yeah, it makes, I don't know, movies are more fun with drinks and snacks. And like they had the one theater we used to go to had these gluten-free street tacos. I don't know what the difference is between a street taco and another taco other than, oh my God, it's good. This theater didn't have those, but I'm really enjoying that aspect of the whole movie theater experience. I don't normally like going to the theater. I don't like being around people. I'd rather wait till it comes out and watch it at home. Said, yeah, it was just the tape I smashed. By the way, the marine painting behind you looks interesting. Thank you. If you haven't seen it already, I do have that posted over on MeWe. I should post it over on my YouTube post too. The other thing that's interesting is the difference in the lighting. Right now it's the day with the bright light hitting it. It looks so different than the photo I posted. Shayna said, Venom is one of the worst movies. LOL, I haven't seen the latest though. What did you think of it? I loved it. Worst movies. I wouldn't go watch okay, so the second one is more fast paced. It's nonstop. You never feel bored. Like it's going constantly. It was funny. I just thought it was fun. I'm not looking for some award-winning movie. I'm looking to be entertained and have fun. So I guess it depends on what your requirements are. Like, I don't like serious, deep movies. I get so bored. I'm like, example, Wheel of Time book. Worst books written. I do not know why they have the reviews. Those of you who love it, I don't get it. I do not understand. I got through half of book 5 and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I can't. I just want it to be over. Horrible. Like the characters are crappy people. Like everything about them. There's nothing enjoyable about the character. I don't care who makes it and who doesn't, because you're all hateable people. Not you, but the characters are all hateable people. Like I don't like them. They all do stupid stuff. Just no. So my requirements on what entertains me may just be different than the average, what I'm looking for in a movie, I guess. I'm not looking, like, we started watching, I asked my husband about, was it, The Miserables. I don't know how to say it. Because I'd heard people, I'm like, what is it about? What is that movie even about? He goes, you've watched this? No, I didn't. So he swore I did until we started watching. He was like, you wouldn't why am I making you watch this? You're going to hate me so we turned that off. But I don't, like, I can recognize when something like that is good, but also I don't enjoy it. I want to have fun. I don't want to think. Well, not always, usually not, but I don't know. I just thought it was good, really well paced. It moved much faster than the first one. It was just fun. There's chickens. It was fun. Also, there's wine involved. Wine makes it all better. But yeah, I would say if you think it's one of the worst movies, I wouldn't even bother with the second one if it's not like up your alley. Fine Art Ann said, thank you for your reply. My friend just sold 2 of my paintings on my behalf. Nice. She owns an art supply shop, and I thought of using that money to buy some art stuff from her. I think that sounds great. Airbrush set is one option where I would like to buy. Createx is what she has in her shop. Yeah, that would probably not be my go-to. I mean, it's doable. I thinned mine with water. It was doable. It was too much work. And that sounds like, is it really that much work to add water? I was constantly trying to unclog the airbrush. My airbrush rarely clogs now. The difference, like, it's such a more enjoyable, I use it more now because it's more enjoyable. I'm not constantly like, crap, I got a big chunk that didn't get mixed in all the way when I thinned it with water. So I definitely would recommend in that case, would probably not where I would put that money. Nick said, the Grand Budapest Hotel. I think both you and Matt would appreciate it. I don't know what that is. Skylar said, worst movie is early 2000s Spawn. Anyway, that I did not see. I don't think I've heard anything good about. I don't know how you would make Spawn in a movie that, like, that's, I don't know. That's not my favorite character anyway, so, yeah. Holly Artist said, have you watched Lord of the Rings? I did. They were long. See, that's an example of, I can recognize where they were good, but also, my God, that last movie would not end. How many? It had like 8 endings. Okay, it's over. Yay, this was good. Oh, no, it's still going. Okay, no, it ended again. No, we're going to keep going. Here's another unimportant thing. Nope, it's going to keep going. So it was definitely, like, I felt like it was dragged out longer than what was enjoyable for a movie, which is weird because usually the longer the better if I'm enjoying it. But that one I really got bored. Like, it's not one I ever felt the need to watch again, even though I could recognize that it was good. I actually felt like The Wheel of Time. I kept laughing. I'm like, the first couple of books, I'm like, oh, this is where Frodo does this. I know what happens. I remember this scene. Like, it was a little too, was not impressed. But yeah, I don't see myself finishing or buying any more of those books. The characters are not growing. The characters they're just kind of not good people. They're not, like, this is the argument I have with my friend Ducky. We play World of Warcraft. His name's actually Juan. But his character's name was Ducky, so that's what I know him for forever. But he loves those books. So we were talking about them. And the character that he likes the most, I'm like, I don't know why you like this guy. He's not a good guy. Like, he's not loyal to his friends. He goes, no, he's a hero by accident. He's not not by choice. It was just kind of a ongoing, like, I just don't like the character. It's not entertaining. I don't like them. I don't see the point. Starving Artist Collector said, that's how I felt about Game of Thrones. Didn't feel attached to any of the characters and bored by season 3. Didn't finish it. Yeah, I wouldn't bother at this point. That was one of those two where I was like, I recognize, yeah, I can see feeling that way. I liked it. I didn't read the books, but the show I did like. But yeah, you really can't get attached to any character. Like, you learn early on, after the Red Wedding, you learned, do not be attached to anybody. That's a pointless adventure. Let's see. So we've got those ones. What else do I want to add? Let's pull a little bit more of the pinks and oranges into this guy. I'm trying to think, I don't really watch that many movies. I did really like, though, as far as shows go, what is it, Amazon that did the, oh crap, I can never remember the name. I bring it up all the time, and then I read the books, and the books were so good. I loved the books. Let's see. It shouldn't be too far down. Maybe. No. Nope. Nope. We're getting there. So those are the other ones. Cricket Kingdom was an offshoot of it, which was good too. Six of Crows. What was the original? I don't even remember the names of them now. Why they're not even coming up. I've apparently watched too many things. Wow, where was it? I hate where it doesn't come up. Like, I've read that more recently than half the stuff that's coming up. Hold on. You guys are probably telling me already. Lee Verdugo is the author. Oh, she has a lot of books. No, it's in my library. Show me my library. Show all. There we go. Here we go. Shadow and Bone. Was that it? Ruin and Rising, Shadow and Bone, Siege and Store, Six of Crows. Shadow and Bone. So yeah, I guess that was that the series? But that one was on, was it Amazon? Amazon or Netflix? I don't know which one it was, but that was a really good one. I like stuff like that more than just straight out movies, like the ongoing shows. Okay, the air conditioner is on. It's not that hot. How are you panting? Oh, you're right next to the window, though. I didn't think... I mean, I really did like Spawn, but I don't even remember when the last time was went to the theater. Oh, we went and saw that... Old, or what was it called? Old, The People on the Island. That movie, that was interesting because it's one of those like moral conundrum type things at the end of like there's an obvious what is actually right or wrong, but you're like, but they weren't like that one I kind of like. Yeah, Shadow and Bone, Clark Feiner got that one was really good. So I'm looking forward to the future seasons of that. I'm actually looking forward because they're still writing future books on that. So definitely looking forward to those. I really like the characters are very likable and most of the characters I should say. Actually, the main character is my least favorite in those books. The other characters I liked much more. She was a bit whiny for my taste. But the other books, like the offshoot books, I liked even more than the original ones. Has anyone seen Freaky? I'm not into horror either, but that movie interests me. Is it something I need to watch during the day, or am I going to have problems sleeping? I've not even heard of that one. My husband, being up as late as he is, he gets bored, so he watches a lot of movies. He watches some weird horror ones, too. Those are definitely his favorites. Let's see. Sheeta said, that was like Fantastic Beasts for me. I like Harry Potter, but the spin-off wasn't great. Didn't bother watching the second one. I was the same way. I didn't watch the second one. It was like, all right, I guess. But yeah, no, I was with you with that one. Which was sad, as I do like J.K. Rowling and Johnny Depp as an actor. Yeah. It just didn't grab me. Like, it was missing it was fun, but it was definitely missing, there was a feeling to Harry Potter, like this, magic, obviously. I don't know, it was just such a cool feeling, the atmosphere. Almost like, I felt like Harry Potter was dark. Like, the sets, everything was dark, and like the lighting and everything was really cool, whereas the Beasts one was like daylight, I just like color, I don't know, maybe do any of you guys do that? Like, color, everything's color. So Harry Potter I think of as blacks and browns and deep, deep blues. Whereas with the Fantastical Beast ones or whatever it was called was like white and tan, white and brown. Like it was a different feel altogether. That's not going to make sense to anybody. George Pencil Art said, I hated Lord of the Rings series and I am nerdy otherwise. Movie length was a problem. Yeah. I'm not into big fantasy movies unless it's science fiction. I like those. I like the fantasy stuff for sure. It just, you can only drag it out so far before you're like, okay, move along. And I like character building stuff for sure. Like I get like, so one of my favorite books, although they're getting to that point where I'm like, okay, can we move this story along? You're into like book 14 and you've still not gone anywhere. But the Chronicles of Elantra by Michelle Segarra, those are really good books. They were better in the beginning. By about book 10, they started, maybe there's more than 13 now. Maybe it was book 7 or 8. They started getting, she releases usually one a year. It started getting like, the entire book is this group moving from point A to point B. A few little things happened, but they didn't, like the whole book could be skipped and it wouldn't affect the story really. Like it could have been summarized into half a chapter at the beginning of the next book. And that's starting to happen a lot more in those books where you're like, can we move this along? Some of them have been good lately, some of them not so. Like that one's definitely getting there where I'm like, I feel like you're kind of losing sight of where you planned on going with that story. Although she did start a prequel prequel for one of my favorite characters, and I normally don't like prequels, but this one character I wanted the history on, so that I am enjoying. But yeah, some of these where they just keep dragging it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Frogs agree. It's not even hot in here. Is that Gibson panting? Yeah. Drama queen. Starving Artist Collective said, Doctor Who's Weeping Angels are some of my favorite scary things. Don't blink. Yeah, I've seen that, parts of that scene. I tried watching Doctor Who a couple of times. I just couldn't get into it. My husband liked it. And like I said, I only watched a few. I never really got into it. Maybe I should try watching it. I don't know. Like, seriously, try it, not just walking through the room going, that looks boring. Because that's pretty much been my... A Quiet Place. I did see those. Actually, I kind of like those movies. That's the one with the aliens that I don't want to give anything away. Just the aliens. We'll leave it there. I actually did enjoy those. The only thing with those ones, there were too many things where I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense because this, like, wait, you're all being super worried about noise. You're walking around barefoot. Everything's padded, but you're playing with dice. The dice hit each other. Why are you rolling the dice in your game together? Why wouldn't you just roll them individually to play your game? Like, if quiet... There were a few things where I'm like, that would have made enough noise. There were quite a few things on that where I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But it was still enjoyable if you can kind of skip over the parts that don't really make sense. I was so sick of listening to such crap books, though, lately. Or books that... I shouldn't even say... No, they were crap. The ones that I've enjoyed, I read myself. I'm having a hard time finding something that I really enjoyed on Audible lately. So I went back and I'm rereading Daughter of Smoking and Bone? Daughter of Smoking and... Whatever. The Lanny Taylor's the author. Oh my gosh, they're good. I'm on to the second book right now again. And it's like... It is so... Oh, those are good books. If you need a good book, listen to it. That's one I would say listen to over read it. Because the narrator, it's the best narrator. And she does such a good job of like, oh my gosh, so good. So good. Jack said, I'm loving the sound of your animals and wind chimes in the background. Me too. It's very nice to work, like, yes, it is a nice atmosphere. Okay. I have a lot of pastel colors in this one. More than usual. Oh, I have a sneeze coming. I'm going to regret all day having that window open. My head is probably going to be a stuffed up mess for the rest of the day because of it. But it's so nice right now. Like I can feel it. Like it's affecting how I can talk and breathe. I make poor life choices. Allie said, do you speak any other languages? Nope. I read music. That could be kind of another language. I always wondered to speak German, wanted and thinking because Faber-Castell and Lyra and Matt putting some German translations of the color on their pencils. No, I don't speak any other language. I did take Spanish for like 3 years. I didn't do well at all. Like that is not a skill I have. And it's not an issue of, oh, you just weren't interested. No, I wanted to learn. Like so many people from Southern California, so many people speak Spanish. It would be really cool to know what people were saying and be able to communicate with some people who didn't speak English. I loved that. It just wasn't sticking with me. Maybe it was the time in my life, like it was, teenage years they were crappy. I don't know if that was it, but it did not stick. I did not do well in that class. That and math, those were challenges for me to pass. I did, but I always got good grades, but it was not, as soon as that class is over and I take the test, my brain is like deleted. We don't need this information anymore. I'm just kind of going through adjusting values here and there. There's nothing major, like no major changes. It's pretty much, that's about it. See, and I was thinking more stars, but the only stars, maybe a few, just a couple of slightly bigger ones. I like that. But too many circles, I think it messes up the flow here. Clark Miner said, scary movies at night don't bother me. The weird dreams that follow, however. Mine is as I'm trying to fall asleep. Like, everything starts going through your mind of... It depends on what scary it is. Like, aliens don't usually scare me. Horror movies where bad people broke into the house, that will... that and anything with demons. Those are my two, like, neither of those things. Those scare me. Skylar said, your froggy's okay. Saline is your best friend this time of year. Or all year. Yeah, frogs are fine. They're all doing good. You can hear the dart frogs. I'm still waiting for my Lucamelons. I've got my bumblebee dart frogs. They're huge. They've gotten so big. I'm pretty sure at this point at least one of them is a female. I'm hoping the other two are males. That would actually be a perfect combination. One female, two boys. Girls don't always like each other. That type of frog usually does fine. But boys will bark and chirp, kind of like them. That's what I want. I want more males. So I'm hoping one is so obvious, like super obvious how much bigger she is than the other ones, than the other two. So it could be just she's a pig and eats more, but I'm thinking it's probably a female and the other two are males. I'm hoping. Like it's pretty obvious the difference. So fingers crossed, because I really want to listen to them chirp. I love listening to these guys. Like they chirp most of the day. Like I can wake up, I'm in the other room with earplugs in. I sleep with earplugs. I can't sleep without them. Too many years of living in an apartment taught me that. And now I just can't fall asleep if I don't have them in. But anyway, I can still hear them through that. So I want that with the other ones too. They have a really pretty chirp too. At least the videos I've heard, not heard them in person. Waiting for that, them to get old enough. Any day now they can start chirping. So fingers crossed I've got some boys in that group. There's 3. Jack said, as a child, did you do anything for Halloween? Yeah, we always went trick-or-treating. I think there may have been one year we went to like a festival, like at a park type thing, an event where they had like costume contests and stuff. But normally we always went trick-or-treating. I mean, even as a teenager, we'd still go. The last year I remember trick-or-treating, I had my collie and I made him, I technically still can sew, but I made him this like pack that went over his back and it held the candy. So people would put my candy in his, I said he was the one trick-or-treating, not me. I just wore my normal clothes and walked my dog around too with my friends. But it's always funny. I think it's ridiculous when people get all weird about giving teenagers candy. If teenagers want to have fun, and like what an innocent thing for the teenager to do. Why does that have to only be for the little ones? If a teenager wants candy, I don't really give out candy. I'm not going to be home at the time, but like, absolutely, let them have fun. Why? I don't understand why we try to make them grow up so fast. If they want to dress up, they want to. Now, if a teenager shows up and didn't even bother putting on a mask or made no effort, then okay, fine. But if they want to dress up and have fun and go trick-or-treating, I think we all should be encouraging that. How disappointing to like have to grow up that soon when you were like, but my younger sister's still trick-or-treating. I want to go too. It's funny thinking of things that used to be scary. And this isn't scary to me now, but I remember watching X-Files. I would have been my late teens, early 20s, and they still scared the crap out of me. Like, I can't sleep now. I'm super freaked out. Like, I'm a big pansy. Jack said, I wish I could experience Halloween in the UK. In the UK, it's crap. Experience that, I think, is missing. That's so weird to me. I didn't know that was like a US thing. I thought everyone just did dressed up and like how a fun thing. Like you'll look out the window and you see kids walking down the street with their parents, then strollers and whatever. They just go house to house getting their candy. It's really cute. I don't know. Like I'm surprised that that's not something that took off more other places. And it's always funny too to me when I think I've said that a lot today. It's always funny too. But anyway, someone will post in the neighborhood group, hey, Halloween's on a school night this year. Do we want to vote as a neighborhood and do it on a Saturday? Yeah, you can't do that. Like, no one does that because the trick-or-treaters are going out on Halloween, whether you voted as a neighborhood to do it on Saturday or not. Ali said, when buying acrylic, do you prefer companies that actually paint the swatches on the tube instead of the printed swatch on the tube? I love that iridescent metallic colors. I mostly with acrylics because I use Liquitex Basics. I mean, the tubes are, let's see, you can see pretty clearly. And here's one. It's pretty obvious, like it's a clear package. You can see what color that is pretty easily. Now, to be fair, if it's a crap paint, it may dry differently than what it looks like wet. But most paints like Liquitex, once I varnish it and it makes it shiny again, it'll look just like it did in the tube. The only exception I find to like actual noticeable color shift is for when I mix teal. Any teal color, teal, turquoise, those have a tendency to dry darker than they are when they're wet. Even when you put the varnish on it, because normally it looks the same. That's the only one that I found in every brand tends to shift to a bit darker. So you just have to kind of plan for that as you're painting. Go ahead and paint it a little lighter because it's going to darken up some if you're that picky. But other than that, because I like Liquitex Basics, just work really well for my technique. I don't really pay too much attention to what other brands are doing for that. Like, I don't have a real preference. Hobby Artist said, I remember growing up in Ukraine, we didn't have anything else related to Halloween until 99. Oh, you've got it now, though? That's interesting. Yeah, I grew up, like, that's just been a normal thing for so long here. I don't even know when that started. Shayna said, here in England, Halloween simply isn't a part of their tradition. Well, not a huge part. Every country has its best and worst holidays, I'm sure. And it's funny because Halloween is like almost everyone's favorite holiday here. Like, it doesn't matter, Christian, agnostic, atheist, whatever, no matter what it is, everyone loves Halloween and the pumpkins, and like, it's usually everyone's favorite holiday. So it's funny to me, like, I guess it's such an odd thing to think of not everyone else doing that too. Like, that one really, I didn't know until you guys in the live stream were commenting on, I think last year someone brought that up. I'm like, I had no idea it wasn't an everywhere thing. Andrea said, what do you use to listen to audiobooks? I use Audible. I should do an Audible. I really should set up an affiliate thing. I don't know why I never did. I'm always telling you guys what books I like. Why wouldn't I? That's a stupid thing for me not to do. I'm gonna have to take care of that. It should be easy enough to do because I have an Amazon affiliate thing. But anyway, Audible is what I listen to. I tried another thing where my husband would download it from this one site. The apps, I didn't like them. Like, Audible is nice. All my books are always there. It is so much better. So Audible's my go-to. Jack said, we do Halloween in the UK with trick-or-treaters. However, it's not like Christmas here. It's not like Christmas here as big as that. Yeah, I would say here it kind of is. I mean, if you walk around the neighborhood, you have just as many people decorate for Halloween. Like, I've got Halloween stuff in my front yard. Actually, I have Halloween, summer, and Christmas right now in my front yard because my neighbor I'm putting up, this is pretty much done. That's why I'm not really working on it now. But my neighbor was there while I was pulling my Halloween stuff out. I still have more to put out. But he saw one of my Christmas ones, goes and grabs it and sticks it in the lawn. I'm like, I'm leaving that there. And it's on your side of the yard, like it faces his house. So I'm like, I guess I'm decorating for Christmas too right now. So that's up. But yeah, I have more Halloween decorations that I think about it than I do Christmas ones for outside. Because I don't put up lights or anything for Christmas because they're pretty, but I don't do cold. And if I put them up, I have to take them down in the cold. And I don't want my husband up and down a ladder. He's going to break his neck. Like, this is just, I don't do much for Christmas outside. Inside I do decorate, but not outside. So I would say Christmas I decorate inside more than outside, but Halloween I decorate outside more than inside. That is the most unimportant story I've ever told. Hobby Artist said, supposedly now they're starting to have it. I haven't been back in 5 years. Didn't even know October 31st was Halloween until 99. The X-File episode where the zombie type men lived under the floorboards. I don't even remember all of them. I just remember getting like super scared and then not wanting to sleep. So that's my main problem. I'll be fine when I'm awake, and as soon as I lay down, and I think part of it goes back to when I was young, I used to see things, and I'm so terrified of seeing things again, whether it was a hallucination, something that, I don't know, call it what you want, I don't want to see it again. So I'm really paranoid. Alicia said, I left my Christmas lights up for 3 years. I think my HOA would get mad about that. Drawing Girl said, do you ever draw creepy things? The closest, I guess, would be Zombie Snail. I think he's over there. But that's probably the closest. That's not really creepy. Some people think snails are creepy, so I guess. Halloween gets started here, not very popular with getting started. You're on Australia, Starving Artist Collective. Halloween getting started here, not very popular with us. I wonder if it makes a difference with stuff taking over more too with the internet and everyone seeing stuff like around the world all over, if that is spreading it more. Jack said, do you get snow in the U.S. at Christmas? So the U.S. is huge. Parts of the U.S., yes, and parts of the U.S. are basically a tropical area. Like, so we got snow at the snowpocalypse in February here in Texas, but that's not... We'll go years with no snow, and then we'll have like 4 days total spread out over the season of snow sometimes. Like it's not super common here, or where I am, it's we don't really see it a lot. Whereas like up north where Nick lives, he's up in the North Pole. Some areas snow the whole season, like the whole, like from, gosh, there are areas that are like 6 months out of the year, I think where Nick is, 6 months out of the year you're likely to have snow, which is very unpleasant. Here it's very unusual where I am, because I'm down far south, but I think people don't realize how big the US is. It's huge, huge, huge. So I mean, we've got states that are bigger than entire countries, so like a lot. Yeah, it's very different climate from one area to the next. Heck, just Texas alone, North Texas and South Texas, totally different climates. They don't normally get snow at all in the South, whereas up here, it's more common for us to have it, but it's not like the whole season like where Nick is, or Joseph. Allie said, it's bad weather in the UK or on Halloween. It gets really cold that time of year. Also, it's not far from Bonfire Night, which happens on the 5th of November, so it's hard to sleep on that day too. Clark Fanner said, up here in the North Pole, we can decorate our Christmas outside, and we won't have to put it up till all the snow melts and reveals it again in the spring. I'm one of those freaks too who, like, when I put up my Halloween or my Christmas decorations, Christmas Day I'm taking it back down. Like, I will put it up in November, leave it up, and then Christmas Day I'm taking all that back down. Like, I'm ready for spring. I'm like, that's kind of in my brain, after Christmas, I'm instantly waiting for spring, like ready for it, and you're months away, but it doesn't matter. I just want to get it down and start being ready for the worm. I hate cold. I hate winter. We don't even get nearly as cold as a lot of you guys do. Not even close. Jackson, always think of Home Alone, but I'm not sure where in the U.S. that movie was made. Wasn't it supposed to be like New York, I think? Clark Feinert said, we have snow starting anytime in October and not ending until somewhere in May 8 months. Good thing I love the snow. Good thing snow's pretty, so there's that. But yeah, and we'll get cold. We'll be freezing temperatures, but we don't have enough like rain to normally snow during that time. And when it does, if we get snow, usually the next day it melts. It doesn't stay for long here normally. The snowpocalypse that we had this year, that was the most. And then the odd thing is, we've had weather like that here in Texas. We call it the snowpocalypse. That was just an issue of bad managing of our power grid. Like there were so many things went wrong that we've had weather like that. Like everyone's acting like that doesn't ever happen in Texas. It does. Never ever have I seen that where it was to this extreme. The power was that was a whole nightmare all around. Anyway. Doesn't the U.S. reach across like 3,000 miles like California to the East Coast? I'm not sure. I actually don't know what the measurements are there. Thea said, I'm doing an Erasmus this year in Sweden. Let's see how cold it will actually get. Erasmus. What is that? Jack said, the last time we had snow in the UK at Christmas was 2010. The whole country was covered in snow. And the satellite pictures, if you Google UK 2012, big freeze, it was insane, I remember. Shayna said, American Halloween always looks cool. English people are more reserved for Halloween, as knocking on a stranger's door for no particular reason requires an outgoing personality, I think. I don't know. I mean, it's the kids. The parents aren't doing it. It's the kids. Kids tend to be, well, no, some get skittish. But when you're basically dangling candy in front of them for doing it, like, I don't know. George Pencil Art said, years ago, I bought an artificial tree after a Christmas sale. I put it up 2 days after Christmas ended. In the past, I've kept the tree up most of January anyway. That we used to, growing up, the tree would always come down after New Year's. So it was always left up through that. I don't, as an adult, I'm like, nope, I want it clean. I want my house back. And I love putting up the decorations, and I think they're beautiful. I love my decorations are mostly, I've had them for like 20-something years. Starfish and sand dollars, and they're seashells made into angels, and like it's all ocean themed, but most of it is. But I just want, like, I want to be ready for spring. I want it all cleaned up and put away and ready for spring. Erasmus is a scholarship for abroad studies. I'm probably saying that wrong. Clark Federer said the last snow that winter for my area was on May on Mother's Day. It was a long winter. Oh, no for me. Angelique said, hey, hi guys, happy to finally be able to catch you live. Miss your funny expertise. I recently saw the new clothes available of chicken saying, don't drink the paint water. It's so cute. Yeah, I've got to order myself one of those. So I ordered the last one, the glitch layer till it looks good. I ordered that sweatshirt and the tank top. The tank top came right away. They shipped at the same time, but shipped separately. And for some reason, the sweatshirt was supposed to be here to like 2 days later, and post office lost it. Like, it still shows. It's been 3 weeks. It was supposed to be, it was 3 weeks ago yesterday it was shipped. So that's apparently lost. And I contacted Teespring, and they're like, well, did you contact the post office? Post office won't deal with me because I'm not the one who shipped it. They cannot help me. So they shipped another one. But I'm like, I still haven't even gotten the last sweatshirt I ordered, but I want to get a chicken, don't drink the paint water one too. I finally got paid. So everything right now is just inflation, and the cost of things are super expensive. My income has gone down significantly. Like, everyone is being affected right now by all the economy stuff, and it's like I have to really watch. I'm like, do I really need that sweatshirt? I think I do, but it's also, I know I don't need it. I've got the glitch one. It isn't even here yet, but I really need chicken. So, you know. Nikki Chickadee said, it's approximately 3,000 miles from LA to New York as a straight shot, more counting the actual drive miles. Hobby Artist said, with Dad's birthday being in February, his dream was to have Christmas tree stay up until his birthday, 2009. It almost happened. I finally agreed to take the tree down in mid-February. Sarah said, I don't consider myself outgoing, but I had no qualms about knocking on strangers' doors on Halloween as a kid because it was expected that night. Yeah, I don't remember being and I was a shy kid, but I don't remember that bothering me. Hobby Artist said, granted, we put it a few days before Christmas and it was going strong at the end of January. I think part of it too for us, like as a kid, we always had real trees, and now everyone uses the fake ones. So it's like, before it was a real tree. You want to keep that as long as possible. I don't know if that was part of it. Because my mom takes hers down pretty, I think, is hers Christmas Day? It depends on what they're doing. I think my mom, and I mean, she was the one who, as a kid, determined how long it stayed up. I think she takes hers down earlier too. I could be wrong on that though. Jack said, I wonder where the scariest place to live is in the U.S. East Coast has some stories. Like, from my understanding, East Coast, you have so many older buildings and older stuff. Like, it seems like more of the scary stuff happens over there. Like, there's more history involved there, so maybe that's what makes it scarier. But like I said, I've got stories from California, so who knows? Yeah, Nick's right. Maine, Stephen King lives here. Yeah, I'll go with you on that one. I'm so glad this is going to be done. I should sign it now. Where am I signing it? Here. signing it on Earth. Forgot what year it was. I think I'm about done. I don't know. I'll leave it up. I may walk by later and go, oh, I want to make this little adjustment, but I think that's about it. I'm over it. This piece took way too long. I think it looks pretty much like what we designed, though. I'm impressed with how this all fit together really well. Thanks, Artistic Flower. Ali said, what about the story about Bigfoot in Washington was the scariest? Death Valley is also dangerous. I mean, there's dangerous places on Earth. That's one thing. But scariest? I don't know. There are a lot of stories about certain national parks people being lost in. There's been some creepy stuff that way, but they're not as common, I wouldn't think, as like scary stuff on some of the, like, Northeast seems to be more concentrated. Thank you, Alicia. Angelique said, I love Stephen King. I'm always reading his books. Jack said, national parks creep me out for some reason. It's so easy to get lost. I don't know. I've always lived in cities, so it's odd when you go somewhere where you're like, I could get lost here. Whereas in a city, everything's labeled and concrete. Hobby Artist said, it turned out beautiful. It's almost identical to what we designed. Thank you. Shayna said, my mom takes forever to take down Christmas decorations. We still had Christmas up 6 months after Christmas. It was so weird putting the tree back up 4 months later. Joseph said, scariest place to live, any Chuck E. Cheese location. Yeah, Zay said, oh well, she finally finished this long one. Yeah, this was I don't want to do another one this long for live streams for a while. I definitely, yeah, that'll burn you out. Nothing should take that long. I mean, we're only working on it during the live stream, and even though it is a 2-hour live stream, I'm talking most of the time, so that was a lot of detail. That was a lot to get done. Or next to a school. George said, the painting looks great. Did you say what you were going to work on next for Friday? So the next couple of Fridays we're probably going to be doing, well, I know for sure next Friday, but depending on how many submissions there are, we'll do some art critiques. So we'll look at your paintings and see what advice I have there. I also want to do some website critiques or YouTube. Some people had requested some YouTube channel critiques. So if there were enough there, that may be something to look at. But yeah, we're going to do some of that, and then we'll do more like projects that maybe take a few weeks, but not, what are we on, 17 or like, I don't know. There's just, this is too much. This is big though. Jack said scariest places where there are tornadoes, so where I live. Well, actually, I would probably want to live in Oklahoma. Like, I drove through there when I went up to a dog show in Michigan. I did that drive by myself. That was scary. That was when I used to drive. But that wasn't the scary part. It was just going anywhere that far by yourself. But anyway, that was the most gorgeous. Like, I love all the grassy fields. It was so pretty. But, oh, the tornadoes just take out entire towns there. And it's not that can't happen here. That certainly does scare me when we get tornado warnings here. But, so, it's a little bit of a concern. But not as bad as, like, the further north you go, the scarier it gets. I don't know where has the least amount of natural disasters that you can avoid. I'm not sure where that would be. Because, I mean, even in California, we had earthquakes. Earthquakes, now fires. But, let's see. Ali said, the most northern land to live is in Point Barrow in Alaska. Very expensive and cold to live. Theo said, thank you for the art hangout, by the way. I wouldn't have gotten so much drawing done today if it wasn't for the live stream. Oh, yay! That's good to hear. Angelique said, read The Hot Zones. Stephen King said it was the scariest thing he had ever read, and it's nonfiction. Go to the hospitals that had the cholera outbreaks after reading it. Urgh. That, I don't know anything about that. Thanks, Sheila. Joseph says South Dakota, I believe, has the least natural disasters, but it's South Dakota, so we considered that. Like, I was looking at like Montana or like somewhere super where you're not on top of your neighbors. Like here, and I love where I live, but you are on top of your neighbors. So when your neighbors are like, oh, I'm going to set off fireworks, the chances of them setting off your house on fire are kind of likely. And I'm lucky because my direct neighbors on either side of me are amazing. And even the people across the street seem great. So I'm very lucky in that. I don't have any like direct bad, but like the neighborhood below me has some issues. The neighborhood above me has some issues. We've got some issues. So you're just so close to each other. People with their dogs off leash, although you would get that more in rural areas. But the off leash dogs, I'm so sick of. Like, I don't want to walk my dogs in the day because too many people don't have their dogs on a leash and dog fight. So yeah, it'd be nice to be more away from people, but then again, in the rural areas, lots of dogs are off, so that doesn't solve that problem. But anyway, I'm rambling. Taisha said, my mother was very religious and she wouldn't let us celebrate Halloween. She had this idea that Halloween was about worshiping the devil until we begged her relentlessly. You know, a lot of people felt that way. That was a very, very common thing. And I think initially it did have like some elements that were very dark and more scary, but we've turned it into this like Hallmark style holiday. I like the Hallmark version myself. So yeah, I get that. My mom wouldn't allow us to have the internet in the house. I could have a computer, I couldn't have the internet. So I was 21 when I met my husband. And this would have been, what, 1998? So internet was just getting more common for people to get computers. And I'm like, I can use this for my art. This would be great. I can sell art online. This is going to be perfect. So we bought a computer. My mom's like, you're not putting internet in my house. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Why? What? That was actually, me and my mom don't fight often. That was a fight. She won. She has internet in her house now. She's got an iPhone. She's got all that stuff. But back then, she thought you were letting the devil in the house. You're opening doors. She was really more worried that my brother would get involved because my younger brother would like find adult material online. I think it was her main concern. I'm like, my door has a lock on it, like a heavy duty lock because my sister kept breaking it. I had a lighter lock. That didn't work. She would pick the lock and still come in. She kept stealing my clothes and my CDs and selling them. My sister was a jerk. So, little thief. But anyway, that still irritates me. I had to have a heavy duty lock put on my door because of that. So it's like, we can keep my brother up. But yeah, my mom was not having that in her house. So I had to keep my computer at Matt's parents' house before we got married. And I'd have to go there to work on my website and to work on stuff. I'd be there super late at night working on all that before I could like actually go home and go to bed. That was, yeah, I know what you went through, which is funny. I still make fun of my mom for that one because, like now she's got internet in her house and she's got her iPhones, and which is funny. Yo said this was fun. Have a good weekend. Thank you. Weekend. That means tomorrow's house cleaning day. I swear it always feels like it's Saturday. It's always clean the house day. Artistic Flower said good live stream. Thank you. Clark Fine Art said have a great weekend. Nick, Edgar, and Joseph Fincham as well, and the rest of you who are hanging out. Also, check out our moderators' channels. Link is in the video description. They all have YouTube channels. Although actually, I don't think Ashley's here today, or Gypsy Heart Art, but her husband just wrote a book, so I put her book. It's actually a pretty good book. So that was a fun one. So anyway, links to everyone's websites are in the video description along with the supplies that I used. You hear the frog singing away. I love those little frogs. I didn't even get into dart frogs on purpose. I got a frog because I had too many fungus gnats in the bio orb that was just going to be for plants. Someone's like, oh, you should get a thumbnail dart frog. I'm like, all right. That was not convenient. So I set up a bigger house for now I have both. That did not work out as planned. Shada said, thank you for the live stream. Thank you. I'm glad you guys made it. Thank you for joining me. Is anyone else excited this is done? Like, finally, my next thing, I'm super excited. Let's move this out of the way. Can you see it? Actually, do I have a photo? I want to show you guys where I'm at on that. I don't know if I can even, I don't think I can get that over here so you could see it. No, there's probably no easy way to do it. Just go over to MeWe. It's posted over there. I will be doing, I'll be posting probably later tonight. I'm going to be working on corals, so I should have an update tonight or tomorrow on that one. George Pencil Art said, I enjoyed watching while working on my swamp painting. All the marsh grass would have been boring alone. Let's see, Artistic Flowers said, good live stream. Thank you. We've got 2 minutes. I don't know. You guys have any more questions? I don't know why. Does anyone else do this? I mean, I could end it. We're done. But I'm like, I set it to go till 3 o'clock. And so I feel like I have to hang out even though we're just kind of awkwardly staring at each other because I ran out of things to talk about. I don't know if you guys have any questions. We'll just sit here and listen to my frogs. Did I have any other? I don't think I had any other stories. Oh, check out, here's Chicken's new sweatshirt. The merch, don't drink the paint water. So you check that out if you want to dress like I do in sweatshirts with Chicken. Yeah, I think that's about it. I guess we can go ahead and wrap this up. It's 2:59. It's close enough. Yeah, we're done. Thank you guys for joining. I will see you over on MeWe all weekend. And then on Tuesday, we've got whatever the next edited video. I don't even know what Tuesday's video is yet. I've got to figure that out. Yeah, I haven't even recorded the intro for that yet. Gotta get that done. And yeah, that's it. Alicia said, have you considered doing a t-shirt without the circle? It doesn't look good. Yeah, I did the, so coming up with the designs, I did the one where it was just the text. Is that what you're looking for? I had the text of, and I need to add a graphic behind it, but it was the, I may regret this, let's find out. I need to redesign that because it looks better. The prints that I've gotten, it looks much more professional and much better if there's like a graphic behind it. So if it's the circle or something else, why, I'm curious, what don't you like about the circle? That would definitely, I want to make stuff you guys like, but I don't know what it is that you would go with differently there. So one of the things too with the circle, with not having something behind it, is it's harder to read the text depending on, like I have to limit the colors available. Well, I have to limit that anyway, but yeah, I need more information there. Text and Chicken or glitch. It just looks weird because it's just a floating head then. Glitch could work, but it's not, I don't know, it doesn't come out looking as like polished, I guess. D. Lynn Creative Art said, I love the frog sounds. Me too. I love listening to that all the time, or all day. Hobby Artist said, where did that? What style do you think would work when we do watercolor pencil piece? Anything. You can really do anything. That is such a like versatile way to go. Oh, Alicia said it's the stiff feel of the circle that's what bothers you. Yeah, I mean, maybe it would be a weird floating head. So I'm not sure on that. That's funny though. I see what you, yeah, on a t-shirt, you've got the stiffness of the graphic part. So I see what you mean there. I mean, it doesn't bother me enough not. I'm going more by how it looks than being stiff. So I'll have to think about other design options that have less print there that still look good. Because like I said, I have the one, it's the one that I'm wearing on my website that says, I may regret this, let's find out. And it's just the text, but it's so, I don't know, it doesn't feel as polished to me as the newer ones I've been doing. Like I like them both, but I like the newer ones better. But yeah, they would definitely have a more stiff feel. So I get that. That makes sense. Okay. Hey, 302. I made it the whole time. Okay, I will see you guys this weekend on MeWe and then next week for videos. Bye.